Well, this week's episode of Titans was actually really interesting. A lot of magical stuff that we gotta talk about. But before I jump into it, welcome to NonStopAntonio, where I talk about everything nerdy. If you like content just like this, hit the subscribe button for more, and I hope you enjoy this video. Just like every Titans episode, the episode picks up right away. We got Raven seemingly losing all her magical power, and now she can kind of feel the world around her and not feel everyone's emotions, forcing her to feel negative stuff. So now she acts like a normal human, and that's all she is. And she kind of likes it, which is a very interesting take for her character, because she's an empath, she feels everyone's emotions, and then she has her magical powers, and connection like Trigon and all that. So it's kind of nice to see her free of that burden, and being able to live as a normal person for once. And I even like how she says that she likes it. We all know that she's going to have to go back to the normal Raven, because they need her magical powers, they need her help to defeat this magical enemy. Because in the beginning of the episode, we have blood spiders biting these guys and then turning them into blood sacrifices or whatever they're doing with them. But that blood spider thing freaked me out. That's creepy. I don't like spiders. Blood spiders make it 10 times worse. It was also interesting how you could see that Mother Mayhem was transferring Raven's power into that crystal. So I guess to get Raven's power back, they have to destroy that crystal or get Rachel to it, so that Raven can get her powers and be Raven. And I like how Dick sends Tim off to go train, and Tim's kind of mad, like, you don't want me here? But Dick just wants to make sure that he's prepared next time for the next fight, while Dick and Corey go to meet Jinx. Because Jinx is an old lover of Dick Grayson, who's in jail for getting caught stealing. And they go back to Bloodhaven, which I don't think we've been to since season 1. And this is interesting too, because in the comics, Jinx is an Indian sorceress whose powers include the ability to command elements such as air, the manipulation of magical energies, and manifest offensive force bolts, and she's been part of the Fearsome Five in the comics. However, they seem to be changing her character a little bit for the show, because obviously the design itself is completely different from what it is in the comics, but they gave her the pink hair kind of like the animated TV show back in the day, so I guess they're kind of blending the two characters together, which I don't know a lot about the character, so I don't know if that should bother me or not. She looks like she's going to be an interesting character with her powers and how she manipulates magic and how she's not inherently evil, but she's also not a good character. And, you know, typical Dick Grayson, he has a relationship with the hot girl, because that's how Dick Grayson rolls. Nightwing is always getting the ladies. And I like how she breaks out of prison, like, right away because of her weather manipulation powers, and she just flies away. And Dick tries to warn them, don't let her touch the ground, and then she was gone. And, of course, he knows exactly where she's gonna go, because the detective in him knows. He just goes straight and finds her, takes the item that she wants. Corey opens it. It turns out to be a freaking heart, and that heart turns Corey to stone, which I never thought I would see Starfire get turned to stone. I love Dick's reaction. I hate magic. Just like Batman, who always says, I hate magic. Normal humans, there's no kind of rhyme or reason to magic. It can be all over the place. You know, with powers, superpowers, you can kind of detect your way through it. Magic's a little more complicated and unpredictable. I like how when Dick's trying to get Corey back, he goes to go see the person that Jinx says can help them and release the curse. He kicks all their asses, dodges the magic flying duplicate daggers, and then notices that Jinx is just using him to rob. And Jinx could have released Starfire this entire time. Typical kind of sneaky thief behavior. I love Dick Grayson because he's such a good dude. He pays her the $5 million that she needs to not have a death mark on her so that she will help him. But, you know, flaunting that billionaire money, just $5 million, yeah, that's nothing. And one of the really interesting parts about this section 2 of this show is that Starfire goes back to the Elko Diner, which we saw back in season 2, where all the Titans got gathered there so they could all group up to fight Deathstroke. It's seeming like her power is connected to whatever's going on right now, which I don't think in the comics Starfire is really in tune with all this magical stuff. And I only know so many stories from her, but I know with Titans, they really pushed this kind of like prophecy and going after magical stuff. So I'm very intrigued, because this is also, again, tying back to season 1 with Trigon, because it is the Church of Blood. Pretty much, I think, going to bring back that prophecy that she came to stop in the first season is now in this season. Because while she's there too, she gets cryptic messages being like what she's supposed to be doing, and that she has all the answers, and she's the only one that can save her friends. And she gets a quote, when the red moon fills the sky, her true fight begins, kind of completing that prophecy. So whenever that's going to happen, it seems to also be tied to Beast Boy, because while Raven and Beast Boy were off hanging out in the RV by themselves, like I said earlier, Raven's feeling good about not having her powers. Gar starts to hear voices like he did earlier, goes into the forest, tells Rachel about the red place and how he was being called a skinwalker, and a skinwalker is a shapeshifter who can turn into animals. And then they make their way through the forest, and I'm not sure if this is actually a vision or a force, but they go to that tree that he saw in episode 1, and they talk about the prophecy where it's when the blood moon is full, the world will fall to evil. So it's seeming like Starfire and Beast Boy's whole like mystical stuff that's going on with them is connected together, and it has to do with the blood moon, the red sky, And it's going to get interesting with everyone seemingly tied together, at least Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire. But the one thing I don't understand is it feels like it's the Red. And I feel like Beast Boy stuff still connected to the Red because the Church of Blood has members that are also connected to the Red and use powers from that. And the Red is just a force that connects animals and microorganisms to the universe, kind of like how the green is for like all the plant life. So it's going to be interesting to see how much more happens because it seemed like with a Blood Moon is probably when Beast Boy will be at his strongest, maybe, because with the Red, I feel like based on how these characters usually act in the comics, they're kind of tweaking some of their powers and their origins so that this story can work with all of them, which is intriguing. I'm looking forward to seeing what magical road goes down. And then because we have Tim training at Star Labs with Connor, they're training in the simulator, and it looks absolutely garbage. Like, the simulator looks so bad compared to the rest of the world. I was wondering if, like, all of a sudden the quality dropped in the episode, because I was like, why does this look like shit? Why does it look like it filmed in a shitty green screen? And I think it was for the purpose of it being a simulation, just to try to show that it's not the real world, which was interesting, but I wasn't really, it looks so bad. I just didn't like the look of it. Connor is being naive. He's not being the smartest. Like, he's using his smarts, like his actual smarts, to be able to track down the cult, try to figure out the connection between the murder that happened in the beginning of the episode and how the cult is connected to it all. However, like, he's just rushing into things. He's not thinking straight. He feels weak. He feels like he should have been able to stop it because he couldn't save Lex, which he never really got to learn much in the end. He only got to learn a little bit. He hasn't met his other father, who really needs to teach him how to do things. And he failed to Mother Mayhem right away and got absolutely knocked into the car. So he feels like he's a failure at the moment, and he's trying to prove his worth. I feel like it's going to lead him down a bad path of him trying to overcompensate and trying to be better, which could lead him down his Lex side. And in the comics, he has kind of taken on that role and been a little bit more evil and shaved his head, because like the Lex part of him took over, and that could happen in this, especially with all the use of all the magic that's going on. I also found it really interesting that the symbols he's found are connected to Sebastian's game. So I guess Sebastian unknowingly has been putting that symbol, because it's ingrained in his brain, into the game and into the real world, because he's connected to the Church of Blood. Because we also found in this episode that his mother is only his foster mom, meaning that he probably had a father and mother who were connected to the bloodline, and his true name is Sebastian Blood. And of course, because he's also part of this whole cult thing, he gets framed for murder because the guy shoves scissors in his eyes and then gets arrested right away, so obviously being framed. Dick and them know that. Dick and Connor go and break him, and I like how Connor just bashes through the wall, makes eye contact with Mother Mayhem, and then grabs Sebastian and then just takes off before he could say the cult chant. It's just going to get insane. I feel like Mother Mayhem's now going to go after Connor for doing that. And, well, she's going to go after the Titans, period, to make sure that she can get Sebastian back so that they can bring out the prophecy, that Sebastian can take his place and be that proper son that he needs to be. And so that they can bring Trigon back to this main world. Honestly, this season is really dark, but all in the right way, which I'm liking. There are still questionable writing styles and lines I don't really like. I'm not a huge fan of Starfire's storyline, how she's connected to everything. I feel like her being a space alien and coming to Earth is good enough, and she becomes a hero rather than forcing this like prophecy on her. And Beast Boy, with hopefully it's the Red, is interesting because then we could see more animal powers. I do like that storyline because I want to see Beast Boy transform into other animals. And then of course Raven's storyline is great because it's all connected. Her storyline is connected to the Church of Blood and Trigon, so it's great to see her character being more developed, because again, first season kind of sucked and rushed through a lot of that stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing where this can go. I want to see more about Superboy. I really hope we meet Superman this season too, so that he could direct Connor in the right direction. I hope Tim gets a suit as well this season. I hope he's not just running around with just the staff. I might just be holding my hopes up for this season to be really good, because Titans is a roller coaster for me. It goes up and then goes down, and then goes up and then goes down. And I've enjoyed the show, but I've also had my issues with it as well. What did you think of this episode? Let me know down in the comments. Were there any Easter eggs or details that you saw that I might have missed? Because I'm really interested in seeing what I might have missed, because I do love DC. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with my Titans videos, and I also have multiple other ones to come as well. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you later.